Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, Governor Tom Corbett inherited a $4.2 billion budget deficit. His budget proposal has been the topic of conversation and debate throughout the Commonwealth. Guess what? Governor Tom Corbett is my special guest on this week's edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and it all starts right now.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, we're delighted to have the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett, on the program. He's sitting right across from me. Welcome, Governor. Now, you were on when you were Attorney General. We had lots of conversations about what you were doing then, correct?
Absolutely. The first chance to be here as Governor. It's nice to be here as Governor.
Well, we're delighted now. Before we get into the serious subject, well, this is somewhat serious. I asked Governor Rendell, and I think I asked Governor Ridge this. Now, you're Attorney General. It's a weekend. You could take off, put a baseball cap on, you don't shave, you could amble down to the mini market, pick up a paper. Wow, not anymore, Governor.
No.
What kind of a lifestyle change is going on in your life and your family?
Well, number one, for my wife and I, it's 24-hour, 7-day-a-week security protection.
Right.
Here in the residence or at home in Pittsburgh, and we don't get home nearly as much as I would like to. But they're with us at all times. So that's a little bit different than when I was Attorney General. There were times. And as Attorney General, obviously, you don't have the high visibility. When you have hair my color, you kind of stick out very quickly.
So you could go into a restaurant, sit down, and have a nice meal, and not have people go, "Uh-oh, who's that guy over there?"
That's exactly right.
You can't do that. I mean, do you go out? Do you go out to restaurants?
No, we go out, and it's fun. I mean, we go out to restaurants. And the people are very respectful. They give us our space. Some want to come over.
They don't come up and ask
you
for an autograph.
Well, sometimes they do, and that's fine.
Yeah, it goes with the territory.
The fun part is going to a movie theater and people look at me like, "Oh, why are you here to watch the movie?" Going to church, the church that I live in, the house I grew up in since I was 7 years old, and I'll go back to that church in Pittsburgh, and now I'm walking in the church and everybody's going, "Why is he here?"
Yeah, oh, like they expect that you wouldn't go or something?
Well, they didn't necessarily recognize me before.
Oh, I get it.
And they had seen me for years, but now I'm in a different role. Yeah. And it's much more visible.
Now, is there anything that when you took office, I mean, look, you'd been a public official for a long time, a career prosecutor. That's one little piece of it. Now, you go into this mansion, you amble around this...
Residence. It's a residence.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Thanks for the correction.
I've been in mansions that are much bigger.
Yeah, that's true. But to me, it looks like a mansion. But okay,
it's a very nice public house.
I got it. All right. Is there something that, and you have the governor's office in the Capitol, is there something unexpected that when you, all of a sudden it seems so different, or is it, I mean, it's just another office for you to do your business?
Well, and that's what I try to make it. I'm there to do a job.
Right.
I try not to do the politics portion of it. A lot of people like the politics. I view this, I'm a public servant. I have always viewed it that way. And I make the decisions of what I think are in the best interest for Pennsylvanians, not dependent upon registration or where they live. So it's different in that regard. And quite honestly, you get more things coming at you much faster.
Right.
And people want to know what you think about everything, even if you haven't had time to form a thought.
Yeah, that's where no comment,
No comment. I'm pretty good at that.
No comment. Well, I mean,
I practice at that.
I think we expect that governors and mayors to know everything about everything, and it's just not. Well, look, let's go to, obviously, I want to start with the budget. You recommended a $27.3 billion budget. There's obviously some debate now in the legislature if the revenues go up about increasing a bit. You have been quoted as saying 27.3 is a maximum. Senator Jay Corman, the Senate Appropriation Chair, said, well, it may inch up a bit. Are you flexible on that, given based on revenue?
I believe I have a commitment from leadership, 27.3. If we should get extra money down the road, we need to start repaying some things. We could put money into a rainy day fund.
Right.
We should not plan on money being there that may or may not be there. We believe 27.3 is a very good estimate of the revenue that will come in, and that is the number that the budget will be.
All right. I want to turn to a couple of specific topic areas. We're going to run to a quick break. I want to talk with you a little bit about vouchers. As you know, it's been a lot in the news this week, particularly in the Senate. Talk about vouchers. I want to talk a little bit about the state employees and where you're likely to go, and get your thoughts about pay raises, both for all state employees, get into the legislature, and health care. I know you've talked a lot about that during the campaign. All right, I'm talking with the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett. We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, bringing educational innovation and freedom to the children of Pennsylvania. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by ReconnectPA.org, supporting a comprehensive transportation funding solution, and by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back. Well, this is my special interview with the Governor of the Commonwealth, Tom Corbett. We're chatting about things budget and related areas. Let's talk a little bit about school choice. This past week, you met with Republican leaders. There was, a holdup. It looks like that not all Republicans are on board in the Senate to get the magic 26 votes to pass the voucher bill. What message do you have, not just to the Republican, senators, but to the folks about school choice and what you think ought to happen with it?
First off, number one, this is about the children. It's about the children today that are in school and the children who are going to be here 10, 15 years from now. We have a system that hasn't been working. That's clear. You just look at the scores over the course of 25, 30 years. It hasn't been working, yet we've increased spending and increased spending. We need to look to do something different. I believe school choice should be an option that a child and a parent can exercise at this point in time. And that's exactly what I told members of the Senate. I told them this. Because of the problems that we've had in many different areas, but also in education, I believe many of the people who are clients of the state, whether that be through the welfare system and other areas or through the prison system, are as a result of them not getting a good education. Some of that can be placed at the feet of their parents at home, and some of that gets placed at the education system. And I believe we need to start doing something different rather than continue to go on the way we have been going on.
The big debate, one of the debates, is over extending it more quickly to what middle-income parents in school districts that are not, have poor performing. Is that something that concerns you? Do you want a faster escalation, if you will, of when that all would kick in, when it would broaden the voucher proposal?
You used a very key word, and that's debate. And there is debate going on, some of it in public, some of it in private. We're engaging in the private debate. And I'm open to listening to all sides, and I hope that they are open to listening where my position is on that. But the ultimate position is we need this, and we need this now. And we have to find the best bill we possibly can. No bill is perfect, as you well know.
Oh, sure.
And whatever bill passes is going to be subject to litigation. We already know that. But we need to get a bill through and start the process.
All right, let's turn our, there are 3 or 4 other big things I want to talk about, but one is the liquor stores. I had your budget secretary on the program last week, and we talked a little bit about the liquor store sales. He seemed to indicate that that was probably not something that your administration would push before you get the budget done, that was sort of a fall agenda. Let me put it this way. It's next December. Governor Corbett's doing a review of his first year. How important is that to include the sale of the liquor stores, or is that something that can wait years 2, 3, 4?
Well, let's demonstrate. The number one priority is to fix a budget that's 4.2, 4.3, depending on when you look at it, $1 billion in the hole. And I always encourage everybody, write that number out. Don't put a 4B.
Yeah, write it out.
So you understand it. In $1,000 bills, end to end, it's from the Ohio line on the Turnpike almost to Atlantic City. That gives you an idea how deep that hole is. So that has to be the number one priority for the legislature and myself. tort reform appears to be passing.
Passed the House,
that is great, and I believe we should get it through the Senate.
And you will sign. You will sign.
I will sign it.
And the Senate passed a similar version.
Similar version.
Before.
That's why I think
Twice.
we'll see something.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we'll see something very soon. When it comes to the issue of privatization, I've indicated to everybody that we can't count on any money from privatization going into this year's budget, because we just wouldn't get it done that fast. I'm sure that Secretary Zogby indicated to everybody that we are doing our own study. We're using economists that are already out there, have already been on the employ of the Commonwealth, to give us an updated study from the one that was in 1995. Give us an idea of where it is. But the real question...
You're talking about how much revenue we generate by the leases and... Go ahead.
The real question isn't the money.
Right.
And I know everybody goes, what do you mean it's not the money? The real question to me is, should the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania be in the business of selling alcohol in the first place while we are controlling it? And I want to see the debate focus on that. And I will push as much as I can the debate focus on that. We're one of 2 states where we control
all of the whole process.
Now, if you keep in mind, we've already privatized beer.
Yeah.
Through the bars, and through the and selling 6-packs through the bars, through the beer distributors, through the wholesale. That's already been privatized. So, in some respect, we've already said, well, yeah, we should privatize it, and it works. And free enterprise is where I believe we should go. And I'll give you the other indication. Take a look. Go back and look at a Philadelphia Inquirer in early December, and see the huge number of pages devoted to advertising by small businesses, which are the big employers in Pennsylvania, if you look at it in total numbers, by small businesses in New Jersey and Delaware, to try and get our people to go over there and buy their liquor. That competition should be taking place in Pennsylvania. So it's a philosophical debate, much more so than it is a revenue debate.
All right, we're just talking with the governor. I want to ask him now about, he's got these tough negotiations with the employee unions. I want to ask him about reform and pay and health care benefits. We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the State System of Higher Education. 14 state-owned universities. The state system is the largest provider of higher education in Pennsylvania. And by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Welcome back to the program. I'm talking with the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett. Governor, you're in these tough negotiations. I know you're not going to get into the details, and I'm not going to even ask you, but let's talk about some principles. Let's say that public employees take a wage freeze this year. What do you think should happen to the management of the executive branch? I'll get to the others in a moment. Management, executive branch, the people under your employ, should they have a pay freeze too?
Well, first off, let's go back. I've inherited a management that was under Governor Rendell.
Correct.
And go back and look at your history. He already imposed a pay freeze on many of those. In the Attorney General's office, as Attorney General, my management has had a pay freeze at least 2 years, and it may be 3 years, because the revenue didn't come in. During that pay freeze, the unionized workers, under their union contract, which they were entitled to, continued to increase. And what we have now, and you see it in many of the agencies, we have a problem of the unionized employees are passing up management, especially lower management, to the point that when we have vacancies in management, we can't get the unionized workers to go over and take management positions because they're going to get more money, rightfully so. You wouldn't leave more money in the unionized position if they stay where they are. So there really has become a morale problem. Go and talk to the people in corrections, the supervisors, the majors and lieutenants and sergeants. They have been stopped for a couple years while the contracts have been going on as they have. So I think a lot of people in the media doesn't really pay attention to what's been going on for 2 years in advance.
Yeah. How about over on the, look, I know you had the executive branch, and I always thought it was I'm going to ask you because everybody asks you, and it's important. But you run one branch. You're not Speaker of the House, and you're not President Pro Tem of the Senate. But you're the, you know, if not the actual leader of the whole government, you're the titular leader. We know that. So the legislature, should they be taking, if Commonwealth employees get no pay raise, should they take no pay raise? And how about health care benefits? If you pay, let's just say hypothetically 3%, should they not pay 3%? The Senate's paying what, 1%, and the House is debating, I think in July they're going to pay 1%. Should everybody, including the lawmakers, be in on this? In theory now. I know you don't control.
First off, it's not hypothetical. I do pay 3%.
Okay.
And in fact, all the executive branch pays exactly what was negotiated with the various unions. So there's no hypothetical there. Number two, I can't tell the legislature what I'd like them to do. Many people think I can, and
I know.
we are an equal branch. We are an equal branch. So with that in mind, we are looking at a very difficult budget, and we have an agreement upon the number. How that money is going to be divided up remains to be seen. Frankly, what I have seen recently in the media, and you know this well, stories in various newspapers across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, starting to indicate what the other branches of government, the legislative branch, is paying, and what benefits that they are paying. And I think that is something that has to be part of the discussion when it comes to the budget. But ultimately, it's going to come, I believe, from the media and the general public.
The pressure.
That's exactly right.
But in theory, I mean, again, in theory, it seems to me, you know, everybody ought to be in this together. There ought to be a buy-in in which everybody, the operative word, Governor, shared sacrifice. I love that expression.
The operative word is we're all state employees.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Okay, and you know, no different whether you're in the legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judicial branch. We're all state employees.
Right. All right, well, the governor knew he wasn't going to sit in that chair and not have me ask him about Marcellus Shale. We'll be back and ask him about Marcellus Shale following these words.
Okay.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, the governor knows this topic is certainly, how many times have you been asked about Marcellus Shale? About 100?
At least 10 times a day.
10 times a day, all right. Now, your position is no tax, a fee is not a tax, but let me ask you this. Impact fee, allowing local governments to have that option, you know, to help with their infrastructure. Your position is, if the legislature were to pass that, would you sign it? If it was just limited, not money back into the general fund, but money local municipalities.
Well, Terry, you're asking me to talk about a bill that doesn't exist yet.
I understand.
So I'm not going to answer that directly. Let me put it to you this way. I think the Marcellus Shale Commission that I put together is taking a look and making some recommendations.
Okay.
There are a lot of things to weigh. First off, what's so important about this industry? Two things. One, energy independence for this country and for Pennsylvania. Markets that will come that we need to develop. But two, it's jobs. And when do we need the jobs? Right now. Give you an example. Lycoming County is growing. Bradford County is about 5% unemployment. That's pre-recession because of the jobs that are creating it. So many of the areas where this is going on have developed a number of thousands of jobs. The investment of these companies in 2009, I'm going to look at my notes, had a $3.9 billion economic impact, $389 million in state and local taxes, and more than 40,000 jobs. Now that's an impact that these companies have brought to Pennsylvania. I always make this argument. If they would have come in 2005 and said, we're going to bring you $389 million in state and local taxes, 44,000 jobs, we're going to invest $3.9 billion in Pennsylvania, we just want to have a Keystone Opportunity Zone, which you know is a tax-free zone, we probably would have said yes.
Yeah.
Okay? What we need to do is understand that Pennsylvania is competitive with other states. Clearly, there are three things. There is the gas, there is the equipment to get the gas, and there is the capital of the companies in order to get the gas out of the ground. Two of those are mobile. It's not the gas. It's the equipment and it's the capital. We are competing with states like Ohio. Ohio is trying desperately to get the rigs moved over there, not so much for the Marcellus, because they only have a little bit, but for the Utica, the one that's further down. So we need to develop this business now for the jobs that it is growing. That many people down here in Harrisburg and down in southeastern Pennsylvania, they don't see the economic impact it's had on communities.
Now, if your commission, for example, were to recommend an impact fee, if it were to recommend saying, okay, maybe we need to have some money to put into an environmental fund, your commission, is that something that you would seriously look at?
Oh, absolutely. I understand that there is an impact, but it goes beyond environmental. Because it goes to the roads, it might go. It might go to the school system.
Absolutely.
It might go to the court system, economic development in the region. There's a huge impact with a new industry or an old industry.
Well, I know you've made a pledge. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and we expect politicians to keep pledges. And then when we don't, we get angry at them. But in this case, I think in all the polls, including one I've done, there is support for the Marcellus Shale tax, and if indeed they would recommend it, it would seem to me as an observer here that if you were to say voter support, commission recommends, and maybe no money back into the general fund, but the environmental help and local municipalities might be something moving forward that
but Terry, no offense to you in the poll business, but it's very difficult.
I won't be offended.
Yeah, it's very difficult for the public to understand the position because you can't ask a question based upon what I just described to you. Right. And I have to look at what is going to grow jobs in Pennsylvania for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And in the best interest, I do not believe it is taxing now, especially if we would lose the drills, where they'd take the jobs and move them to Ohio or move them back to Texas. That's number one. But two, we need to develop the markets that surround it, other jobs that will grow out of this. We're, in the greater scheme of things, we're at the very beginning of a cornerstone to the economic recovery of Pennsylvania. Other cornerstones are biotech research. You know, we have a whole lot going on right here. The pharmaceutical industry. I don't think anybody would look at the pharmaceutical industry and say, well, you know, you're making a lot of money coming here to Pennsylvania. We should tax you extra. Yeah. And that's what this is.
Yeah, we have about 30 seconds left. I mean, do you anticipate, your budget secretary said yes, I want to ask you, that the fiscal situation of the state is not going to improve markedly in the next 2 or 3 years? I mean, you're looking at it.
I have to agree with Mr. Zogby. You're not going to see a rocket ship taking off. It's a gradual increase.
Before you go, I invited Governor Rendell when I was on vacation to host this program. He said he would. I'm extending this invitation to you. Will you do it?
We will do it.
Hey, great. All right, thanks for watching this edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.